Welcome to Titanfall. The beta is available now. I have it on PC and the footage you are seeing is my footage from a game that I played on Hardpoint Domination. This match is being played on Fracture, which is one of the better maps for using Titans on. I also find that Hardpoint Domination is one of them game types you can get into quite easily. A lot of people know Hardpoint Domination from the COD series, obviously Domination being one of them big game modes where you have to capture the flags, and Hardpoint you have to get to the point and you have to stand around the point. So they basically mixed Hardpoint and Domination together to get this new game type for Titanfall. So my first impressions of the game were they were actually very good. I could get into this game and I could start playing it properly within 10 minutes and I understood where to go and what to do, how the guns work, and that's what I really liked about the game when I first got into it. I think I was eased into the game quite well by the training that you get to do before you actually get to play the multiplayer. The training was really useful to actually start using the Titan and to use the guns, so I found that really helpful. One of the best things that I found about Titanfall was the guns. I found the gunplay incredibly easy to get into, and that is a massive plus point for an FPS. Because the game is based off a heavily modified source engine, you know the gunplay from previous games like Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2, but it doesn't completely feel like that, and that's a really good thing about it as well. The gunplay does completely remind me of Call of Duty, and obviously when you think of Respawn Entertainment, you think of Call of Duty. Well, I do anyway. When I first started playing the beta, I found the guns a little bit difficult to get into, because the fire rate was quite quick, and the guns were a little bit jittery. I'm not sure if that's something to be ironed out in the future. Obviously, because it's beta, there are a lot of things that they can change between now and release. And I do expect to see a few changes here and there. I'm not going to list them because there are a few changes and I don't want to use up the time of the whole video. So let's go on to something else. So let's go on to parkour. Parkour is something that this game has as a massive feature and it works really well. I bet you would expect the controls to be quite clunky to get into windows and to do wall running, but it's actually quite easy to do. There's only one button that you need. All you need is the jump button and that's it. You don't need anything else. You angle yourself towards walls and you can double jump as well to get into windows, and that works quite well. And you will be pleasantly surprised how many times this is used during combat. Everybody uses it as much as they can. More often than not, you will find people wall running and jumping off the wall and shooting you in midair. That has happened to me quite a few times. There are some fantastic games out there that actually utilise parkour as one of its main features as well. Titanfall utilises parkour as a main feature and it works very well. It takes combat to a whole new level, and that's a fantastic thing about the game. It's not your average shooter like Call of Duty or Battlefield. There's a lot more depth to the game. Which leads me on to the massive mechs, the Titans. The Titans are something that completely changes the way the game works. It's not your average FPS when the Titans come down. When you do have the option to bring the Titan, you have a couple of options on what you can actually do. You can make the Titan guard a certain area, so you can make him stay still. You can make the Titan follow you, which is a really handy feature. Or you can get inside the Titan yourself and unleash havoc on everybody else. Before you spawn into the match, you need to pick what kind of Titan loadout you want, so you can either pick from assault, tank or artillery. In this particular match I chose to change it up a little bit from my previous matches, so I used the artillery loadout for this one, which lets me use rockets as my main weapon. And every Titan comes with an offhand weapon, which is also really handy for when you're reloading your gun. So the offhand weapon in this match fires loads of rockets from my back into them, which is actually a really good weapon. Titans are also able to use a melee attack, so if you're really close to another Titan, you can choose to punch them. If the enemy Titan is really close to being destroyed, you can punch the other Titan and you can pull out the pilot and then choose to throw him across the floor, which is actually quite a cool little execution. Titans are also able to sprint, which is really handy to get around quickly, but they can also use a dash as well, so you can dash in one direction quickly to dodge attacks, which is actually very handy to use. One massive downside to actually using the Titan is that you can get shot from anywhere with the enemy's anti-Titan weapons, so you could have soldiers running around like headless chickens and they could be shooting you with an anti-Titan weapon, but you don't know where you're being shot from. That is a massive downside to using Titans, but at the same time it also balances the game very well. because you would think that Titans are actually massively overpowered, so they come on the map and they absolutely slaughter everybody. But when the enemy actually has anti-Titan weapons, it balances the game out a little bit, so it gives you a bit of leverage over the Titans. What the enemy can also do is jump on your back as well, so they can actually shoot into you while they're sitting on your back. That's also a big plus point for balancing as well. Not just for the balancing, but it does look a little bit badass as well. So moving on to the maps. Tactically, the maps are very different. You will have one map which is designated more for the players and not for the Titans, and one map which is more open, which is better for Titans. Now Fracture is the map where you get to use the Titans a little bit more and there's more space to actually use them, whereas Angel City, for example, it's a more urban environment which is better for players to do wall running and parkour. Now don't get me wrong, there is plenty of space on Angel City for Titans, because the streets are actually lined perfectly to fit the Titans in. But when you have 3 or 4 Titans all battling out on the same street, it causes utter chaos. And you can't just walk through your friendly Titans as well, you have to actually walk around them, so it makes it even more difficult in tight spaces. The maps are made for Titans in mind, but there are some spaces on certain maps where you shouldn't really take your Titans because you can't do anything there. My favourite map out of Fracture and Angel City has to be Angel City. I find the parkour great fun to do, which is why I like Angel City a lot more, and the fact you can get from one end of the map to the other by using parkour completely without touching the ground is even better. Now performance wise, the game actually runs very well. In some areas of the game there'll be a little bit of fog here and there, which will actually slow your game down quite a bit. Because the game is still in beta, obviously stuff like that has to be ironed out later on. But for what it is, the graphics are actually very good so far. You will find though that some of the textures here and there are a little bit flat, and you will notice that as soon as you spawn in. But I believe that because this game is actually made for a next-gen console, the Xbox One, that it's going to be even better on the PC because the graphics are customizable and there's a lot more you can actually change with the game itself. Compare that to the Xbox One anyway. Although I'm pretty adamant that there will be some things that will be restricted so you can't change them, because that will give you an advantage over other players. Just touching back onto one of the weapons that I've used in the past as well, there's something called a smart pistol, which is absolutely OP. It's crazily OP. If you're playing attrition like I was and you're using the smart pistol, you can get behind the enemy AIs and you can just lock on to multiple enemies. One pull of the trigger, when you have locked on to multiple enemies, that will just kill them all with a headshot every single time. Now against actual opponents you have to lock on to them 3 times, which makes it a little bit more balanced, but still the gun means that you don't even have to look at them, you just have to aim at them and pull the trigger, and that to me is a little bit overpowered. I would like to see that a little bit more toned down, because I think it's far too OP for what it is. But that's just my opinion. It can be a difficult gun to use, you do have to lock onto them and stay with them. You don't necessarily have to look at them and actually aim at them. You can look to the side if you wanted to and you could still hit them. The bullet kind of like homes in on that enemy. But if you could do that to multiple AI enemies, you're just racking up the points for yourself. You can come top of the scoreboard by doing that, and I have done it. But it's a little bit dishonest. Maybe that's just me, but it does feel a little bit dishonest every time you use the gun. You almost feel like a hacker. I find the carbine is my favourite weapon, but I also like the SMG, which I'm using here. The only problem I find with the gun though, you have to compensate for the jitter, and that can be difficult when your target is bouncing off the walls, quite literally. Now let's talk about unlocks a little bit as well. When you finish a match, obviously you'll have challenges and you'll get to unlock things. One of the main things that you get to unlock is something that's called burn cards, and they're basically a one-time thing that you can use. So you could use one burn card to let you use a sniper rifle for 1 life. After you die, you can never use that burn card again until you get a new burn card for that sniper rifle. I find this to be a really good feature. The burn cards actually give you that little bit of advantage over the enemy, just for 1 life though. But after that, you're just back to normal again. And it's not just burn cards for weapons either, you can have it for other things, like to move quicker, for example, which I find is actually a really good thing to have. For you Call of Duty players, you can think of it like perks for one time only. And every time you finish a match, you can unlock these burn cards, and you can actually use them during a match as well, so you don't have to add them to the very start of a match, you can use them anytime you want. There's also challenges at the end of the match that you can complete as well. So there might be challenges to kill 100 grunts, for example, or 100 spectres, which are the AI enemies. And there's also challenges to play a certain amount of Titanfall as well, and become an MVP in the match or come top of the scoreboard. And obviously as you rank up, you'll earn yourself different guns and different loadouts, you can customise your loadouts and stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff that you would expect every time you level up. Overall though, I would see Titanfall as a game that would make me want to play it quite a lot, because it's fast paced and it's fun. I found myself getting into the game quite easily, which was a great thing, and I really enjoyed playing the time that I have so far. I can definitely see myself playing the game a lot more, and at the same time enjoying what I'm actually playing. And going into some comparison with Call of Duty and Titanfall, I haven't found in recent years that Call of Duty has been satisfying enough, whereas I think Titanfall is a little bit different. It gives it a bit of edge with the parkour and the Titans. It's a lot more fast paced, which is what I'm going to enjoy a little bit more about the game. And I think for me, that's definitely a game changer. I've had the liberty to play Titanfall at EuGaming as well, and I enjoyed it back then, but now, a few months on, playing it on the PC, I found the game to be easier to actually get into because I prefer to play FPSs on the PC. Overall though, I would definitely say fast paced, it's fun, it's easy to play, easy to get into, and enjoyable. And that's the main things that I want to see from a game. I'm enjoying Titanfall a lot more than I thought that I would, which is a fantastic thing, and I can't wait to get the game when it comes out in March. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel if you want to see some more from us. Don't forget to like the video, comment on the video, and let us know what you think of Titanfall yourselves. Don't forget, you can also follow us on Twitter at EuGaming News. You can also follow me on Twitter at EuGBeag. And that's it from me, so thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one.